Happy Tuesday, my LinkedIn friends. So glad to be here for another episode of Lean Coaching for Lean Coaches. How the heck are you? You're coming off a holiday weekend here in the States. I also know in the UK as well. So hopefully you had a great time this weekend. If you had that extended weekend and you're coming back in ready with some great energy and excitement and ready for a good week ahead. I know as an entrepreneur, you can make that choice to take the day off or not. I was here on LinkedIn and just enjoying the day with you all as well. So today's a little bit different day. And so I'm thankful for all of you who are taking your time and would love to have you engage in the conversation. It's a little bit different conversation today. Normally on Tuesdays, welcome in a lean coach, lean practitioner, consultant, and coach them and help them get some clarity and take a next action step on the challenge that they're facing. But as coming up on 6 months here, really two reasons. First off, I've been busy with a lot of different things, working on some cool things that I'm excited about, but also didn't get a chance to bring somebody into the space today. So, as I thought about it today and kind of was like, oh my gosh, I don't have somebody here. It's going to be all weird and different. I thought, well, actually, we're at the 6 month mark. I thought it would be a great time to come in and reflect on really what I've learned through the last 6 months of coaching and supporting folks in this space, and really be honest about it. what I've learned through that process, um, and pass that along to you, and then hear from you as lean coaches. The struggles and challenges that you have, and if any of these resonate or anything else comes up for you. So as I share these uh, things that have come up and that I've learned over these past 6 months, would love to hear from you. So feel free, chime in on the comments. Would love to know what your challenges and things that you struggle with as a lean coach or consultant. Would love to hear from you. So the things that have come up for me over the past 6 months and having opportunities to coach 25 different folks, and each one of them um, very unique, but also there was some very similarities that came up quite often in the challenges. So it was super fun to be able to. Um, I felt like I was learning along the way for sure. And the things that came up for me as I was on, and honestly, it was really this morning. 100% truthful. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning, tossing and turning in my bed, just like thinking about this. And as I was reflecting this morning and doing some journaling, it's funny because it came down to something that I was talking about with a client yesterday in their session, and talking about as they were setting goals ahead, that they really were struggling with making it about the results and looking good and the ego. And I can 100% relate to that here. Being in the space, you're as an entrepreneur, and then being on screen for folks. It can become about the production, about the performance. And as lean practitioners, we don't, hmm, we want it to be about the process, not about the outcomes, because we know that if we work on the process, the outcomes will take care of themselves. So I think that was is very interesting that as I was thinking about these, quote unquote confessions and things that I've learned, that it was really a struggle because I wanted to look good this morning and have it all look great. But man, It was just funny because as I've reflected back, the three things that really came up for me um, were, and this is interesting. The first thing that came up was something that a good friend of mine, and I consider him a mentor and somebody who's been doing Kaizen event facilitation for 25, 30 years, is less you, more them. And I really realized that as I got in some of the spaces and coaching folks here in these live coaching sessions, that I was really focused on myself too often. I'm like, okay, how am I looking? Um, do I have a great and insightful question? Have they gotten some amazing clarity? Um, have they got a next step that's really going to make a difference? I was really making it about me and how I looked. And I don't know if you've struggled with this in as a coach or consultant, but really making it about um, how we look is definitely a challenge for me. And I recognize that this came up um, multiple times for me. And um, having to have that reminder of, in lean, we talk about value to the customer. It's about value to them, not value to you as a practitioner. Um, and so man, I had to have a big skillet hit me on the head like multiple times with that over this whole time. And I think it's still an ongoing challenge that have to be reminded that I'm here to help you. I'm here to help the person, um, the person that I'm supporting. It's about supporting them, not about how I look. It's about what they're getting from it. And so always centering the client, the customer, um, the person. Yeah, absolutely. Lynn, I think that whole idea is active listening. Yeah. Yeah, we're not just waiting for our turn to speak. And if you have a um, partner, you're married, if you're a friend, I think this can be it's constant reminder for me. I've been married 21 years, and I have to constantly be reminded of not not waiting to speak or give my great solution. Um, it's um, it's a constant challenge, and I think putting ourselves in these positions as coaches, consultants, leaders, practitioners, where we're actually out there doing this gives us more opportunity to learn these lessons. It may not be the lessons we want to learn, but it's the lessons we are learning along the way. That less you, more them is one that, oh man, it's just a constant. It's just a constant. And I have to bring myself back around to that I'm here for them, here to support them. And I think it leads to one of the other challenges. So thank you for sharing, Lynn, and of course anyone else that's here. If you got any reflections or thoughts, I would love to hear what your kind of challenges are as practitioners here. Um, and that kind of leads into we were talking about this idea of let me give them their great solution. Well, the reality can be sometimes in the midst of that wanting to look good that we try to come up with an answer. But the reality is, like, there was so many times that I was so focused on coming up with an answer, and then I realized I didn't have the answer, um, and that's okay. Um, I think coming to grips with both of those, that again, that it's not about having the answer, and because that's so tough. if especially if you're hired, you want to help solve the problem. I mean, that's what, we're paid to do, is help solve problems. Um, at least that's kind of in my mind. And if we don't produce the solution, then somehow there's not a value. And then so I wrote down on my note, I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. And I'm okay, right? That my value isn't tied into um, that um, answer. And yeah, absolutely, Ruth. The We're wanting to rush to make everything okay. Love to hear more on that too, Ruth, because I totally get that. Because we want it to be all okay. We don't want it to be. We struggle with the things being open and not having. We want to have some definition and boundaries and answers. We want that openness is a challenge. I know for me, um, there's something about having that closure that feels safe and secure. I think if I'm to name it as, um, it feels like, oh my gosh, in this open space, if we just allow things to happen, then what's going to happen? It's that whole fear. And I think thinking about this piece of, like, I'm paid to have the answers. Really, though, as hopefully as practitioners, as leaders, consultants, coaches, what I'm coming around to is this desire to help people with their thinking, um, to help develop that scientific thinking. And that doesn't, as a coach, that isn't the answers. Like, the goal isn't the answers in that, the goal is to help develop their thinking. And so many times that's going to mean you're not there with answers. You're asking more questions. And man, it can feel like, okay, am I being productive here by just continuing to ask more questions? And there's a time and a place, I think, knowing um, the role that you're playing in engagement is super important. There are so many times, like, with clients where I have to, and I have to tell them, this is the thing one of my coaches did, um, is, okay, I'm putting on my, like, teaching hat or my consulting hat um, right now, and I really like that too, because there are times for that, for sure, where we're needing to be that um, consultant or that teacher. Um, and also as a coach, though, what I want to do is help develop people's thinking, because in the end, the bigger impact is helping people develop into scientific thinkers, to being out there and doing experiments, having hypothesis, documenting what happened and what they learned, and continuing to grow in that. Because the challenge for me is that, again, to your point there, Ruth, the closure and being open to what's out there. I think we want to have that control. And in the scientific thinking way, it's like, I know where I want to get to, I know where I'm at, but in between here and there is the uncertain. And there's things in my way. And by developing this thinking, we're able to be more resilient in the face of those obstacles. And that's what I really want to do, is create and help support people in their path to becoming more resilient in the face of those obstacles. And scientific thinking, that practice over time, will develop that mindset and being able to handle those challenges. So that's really my hope. And that's hard, because we have to practice that ourselves, right? That requires me to be okay. I don't have all the answers. I don't know the pathway to help somebody get there. I know the practice and the pattern that will help and develop. Um, Thank you, Ruth. Appreciate you sharing. It's this is definitely, um, I think, a conversation we need to have more of in the lean space. Um, in saying, okay, we don't have the answers, but we want to help develop the thinking because it's more important to develop thinkers. I know what I hear often from like lean practitioners as well as operations leaders is we want to develop a culture of problem solvers. We want this to be sustainable. Um, and in my view, the way the path there is by developing people's thinking. And that is not the quick fix or the easy way. It is the longer path of consistent practice over time. And it's intentional. It has to be intentional too, that consistent intentional practice. And so I think for me in these sessions, I've learned again that whole focus of less you, more them, and that I don't have the answers, and that's okay, right? I'm okay. Um, Things will be okay if I don't have the answers and give them a solution. Um, my goal is really to help develop the thinking, um, and I think that really leads to probably the most important lesson that I've learned through this time. And again, all of these are learnings for me and work to do in all of these areas. I'm sharing these because I have not arrived in any of these areas. I'm on the journey, like all of you are, like all of us are. And the last lesson that I've learned is simply presence, the value of presence and being in these spaces with people. Um, Again, especially when you're doing it live, um, there's again that challenge to perform. And okay, I got to make sure that there's a great outcome that comes from this, and that I look good on camera and I look good for even the person that I'm coaching that's in the seat that comes into one of these sessions is that performance versus presence. And I have to so often remind myself in these sessions of just come back, just be present, just like you said earlier, Lynn, like listen and be present. We know these things, you know, we've done this work enough. You know, we watched enough videos, we've been to enough webinars, taken enough classes to know um, just the simplicity and the value of active listening. And when I say simplicity, that doesn't mean it's easy. Far, far from it. Um, Again, that idea of active listening, even, with my wife, with my kids, it's a practice. We have to keep doing it every single day. And I think these sessions were just such a massive opportunity to do just that. And I remember early on in one of the first, probably in the first month and a half, I got feedback after one of the sessions from one of the folks that I was coaching, and they said, "Hey, can I give you some feedback?" And of course, being the lean practitioner, of course, I want to hear from the voice of the customer. But then another part of me was like, "Oh my gosh!" And um, what are they going to say? Anticipating the worst. And one of the things that they shared was, they said, I really noticed that you seemed to, I forget the exact words they used, but was that you tended to not be present and were kind of moving off in different directions. And that was like, whoa, that was such a wake up call for me because I pride myself in being present, um, with the people that I'm with and I'm coaching. But it's that tension again of how do I look? Do I look like I have my stuff together? And I think this is an experiment, right? This whole idea of doing live coaching, and I think it's something when you're doing it again for other people, the people that are watching. I mm, I think that there's something always in when you're with somebody, even outside of just like just in a regular coaching or consulting, where we can get where I can get caught up in that. Like I want to make sure I, add value to them. They're paying me for a service to support them in their journey and help them along. So there can be a performative piece about that. And then of course there can be a performative piece in this space too, where you're, in front of other people and wanting to provide value. So presence, really, if at all possible, letting all of that fall away. If I could just be like I'm talking to, like, as if the cameras weren't there, the cameras, as if this was not here, um, as if it was just a conversation with another person. And I think that's something that one of my coaches, when I would get caught up and anxious about preparing for a coaching session, especially, um, I think it was probably 6, 9 months ago. And I was just like, well, I don't have, I got to have the process and the steps and helping them get that, and even within the coaching session, okay, here's the way that it's going to go, having that control in the session. And okay, this is the process and these are the questions. And I'm very much an advocate of that and absolutely trust that process of scientific thinking, the improvement kata, the coaching questions. Those are all things that I really trust and believe in. And also at the same time, there's so much value in being present and understanding what's going on for that person. One of my first coaches in learning the improvement kata and coaching kata was Gemma Jones. And one of the first questions she asks, we would always have a few minutes of just conversation, relationship building, rapport, whatever you might say, catching up over the last day and what's gone on and how things are going. And then the next question she'd ask before just jumping into coaching was, are you ready for some coaching? And it was just such a subtle question, but it really was acknowledging, okay, you're a human being. This is not transactional. Um, are you ready to enter into that? And I think the unspoken question is, do you need something else? Do you just need space to just be and share? And um, yeah, so I've taken to incorporate that. I won't say I do it every single session, but quite often I'll ask that question of, "Are you ready for some coaching?" And just really um, giving them that opportunity. And I think it's something that I can incorporate more and be more explicit about when I ask that question. This is an opportunity this is an open space. This isn't just um, for you to, work on this specific goal. Now, of course, I'm here to support you in that. That's what I want to do. But if you need something else today, that's okay too. This is a space to help and support you. And it's like my wife um, often talks about, and she's an amazing coach and facilitator and trainer. Um, and she has shared with me this phrase that I really love. I want to come alongside you in the great work and support you in the great work that you're already doing. And sometimes that's going to look like a structured coaching and helping you get that clarity and supporting you and providing you with that accountability on those action steps. But it's also going to be, if this is a space where you just need to share for 57 minutes about some things that are weighing heavy on you that you're being challenged with and you just need a process. Again, it comes all back around to this, and I want to finish up with this, and happy to continue the conversation if there's anything else you'd love to add. I'd love to continue this on afterwards. Um, but it's this idea that I constantly hear when I ask many times at the end of coaching conversations, what did you find most valuable about our conversation today? And so often, so often, it's just the space to process and reflect. And it's as if that message is being sent back to me and saying, "Don't you get it? Don't you get it, Sam? People just want to be heard. They just want to be heard. They want to be seen." And that takes me back to the beach a few years ago as I was thinking about launching, doing the coaching work. And the word that came to me is worthy. People just want to feel valued and feel worthy. And one of the biggest part is just people want to be seen. They want to be heard. And the way that you can create that is just by being present. Just by being present. So I hope that this time encouraged you to know that you're not alone as a practitioner. If you're struggling with anything out there as a coach, consultant, practitioner, it's all good. And to come back around to some of these things, it's about value to the customer, and it's less about you and more about them, and recognizing that we don't have all the answers, and that's okay. And we're okay. In the face of that, we're here to help support people and develop their thinking. That's the sustainable way. And that really being present is the most important piece. So, thank you again for this opportunity to share. Um, be back on Thursday with one more LinkedIn audio session, finishing out this month of experience experiments with that, and we'll have a great conversation there. So please come join in as we meet again for more lean coaching for lean coaches. Um, and yes, thank you, Lee, for that final reminder of it all comes back to purpose and back to having a why. All right, my friends, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. And again, it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. Have a great day.